When the Dallas Cowboys lost to the San Francisco 49ers in the 1994-95 NFC title game, the 49ers went on to win the Super Bowl. We said to ourselves, well, okay, there's a reload year coming up. We need a big shift so Dallas can get back to the Super Bowl. And that's what he just got. Of all people, this player ended up a Dallas Cowboy. A lot of us thought, hey, this was never going to happen, but it did happen. Deion Sanders was shopping around after spending one season with San Francisco in '94. Of course, he was the Defensive Player of the Year that year. Now, he had a good Super Bowl, and the end zone reception in the fourth quarter as the 49ers won over the Chargers. But through his agent, Eugene Parker, he courted several teams in need of a cornerback. The teams in the Deion sweepstakes, that was called, were the Eagles, the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Saints, the 49ers, and the Cowboys. Well, lost their starting cornerback Kevin Smith to injury for the rest of the season. Now, in a move that's still talked about on September 9, 95, in week 2 of the season, he signed a lucrative contract with the Cowboys for 7 years, $35 million, with a $12.999 million signing bonus because owner Jerry Jones was suspicious and superstitious about the number 13, essentially making him at the time the highest paid defensive player in the NHL. Sanders later stated in his book, Power, Money, and Sex, How Success Almost Ruined My Life, that the Oakland Raiders offered him more money than any other team, but he chose to play in Dallas for more time on the offensive side of the ball, a chance to win back-to-back Super Bowls, and because of his friendship with Cowboys wide receiver Michael Irvin. Arthroscopic surgery kept him sidelined until his debut in Week 9, which was once again Atlanta against the Falcons, his former team. The Cowboys won 28-13. He went on to help the Cowboys win their third title at that season in 4 years in Super Bowl 30 against the Steelers, where he returned a punt for 11 yards and caught a 47-yard reception on offense, helping Dallas to a 27-17 win. So how did Dallas get back to the Super Bowl despite Barry Switzer and despite two big losses at the end of the season that put them to 12-4? Now, this was the franchise's 36th season in the NFL and the second year under controversial head coach Barry Switzer, who Jerry Jones had put in place in the firing of Jimmy Johnson. This was the final of the 3 Super Bowl titles they would win from 92 to 95, and the height of the triplets, Aikman, Smith, and Irvin. Dallas would be the first team to ever win 3 Super Bowls in the span of 4 seasons, would be later matched by the Patriots and Tom Brady from 01 to 04. Now, Switzer again guided the Cowboys to a 5th Super Bowl win by defeating the Steelers 27-17 in Super Bowl 30 on Neil O'Donnell's bad passing and Larry Brown's opportunism. As of 2023, this is the most recent time the Cowboys appeared in the NFC title game, and in turn, their most recent Super Bowl appearance. The last remaining active member of the 95 Cowboys was Larry Allen, who retired after 2007 season. Now, after a pitiful draft where only Sherman Williams was any good and Bjornsson, they also entered the season losing 2 players in the expansion draft, including wide receiver Willie Jackson and cornerback Dave Thomas. Now, the 95 season once again saw a number of key veterans depart via free agency due to NFL salary cap, including wide receiver Alvin Harper to the Bucks, safety James Washington to the Redskins, center Mark Stepnowski to the Oilers, and longtime Cowboys veteran defensive end Jim Jeffcoat to the Bills. Of course, they lost Ken Norton the year before. Starting quarterback Kevin Smith was out again for the season after injury to Week 1. Perhaps, again, the most prominent addition was Deion, who was taken away from the 49ers. Running back Kevin Smith earned his 4th initial rushing title this season and set a then record 25 rushing touchdowns in a campaign against the Cardinals to secure home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Of course, the road game against the Cardinals was kind of the visual motivation for the Tom Cruise film Jerry Maguire, but in this case, the Cardinals won. Now, the season began with victories against the Giants, Broncos, Vikings in overtime, and Cardinals. In Week 5 of the Redskins, Troy Aikman suffered a major injury early, and the Cowboys suffered their first loss of the season. There were unsubstantiated rumors that Aikman could have kept playing the game, but didn't want to because he didn't want to beat his old offensive coordinator, Norv Turner, who was Washington's head coach. Aikman returned the next week and led Dallas to wins over Green Bay, San Diego, and the Falcons, marking Deion's debut game with the Cowboys and Eagles to move to 8-1. And at the time, they were considered one of the weakest 8-1 teams in NFL history. Now in Week 10, the struggling 49ers, only 5-4, and with Elvis Grbac substituting for an injured Steve Young, came to Texas and clobbered the Cowboys 38-20. The game's signature play was San Francisco's second play from scrimmage from the Niners' 19-yard line as Gerbic's pass split Dallas safeties and Jerry Rice scored his typical cross-field pattern. Now the win started a 6-game victory streak for San Francisco, while Dallas rebounded, beating the Raiders and Chiefs to move to 10-2. But then they were upset at home by the Redskins. Now the Redskins, who finished only 6-10, swept the eventual world champions. It was the Skins' 7-win in 14 meetings since the firing of Tom Landry. Now the Cowboys lost their second game in a row in a controversial loss to Philly Ware with the game tied 17-17 late in the fourth. Barry Switzer elected to go for it for a second time on fourth down in the foot at the Cowboys' 29-yard line. The Eagles initially stopped Dallas for no gain, but the play was ruled dead because the 2-minute warning was reached before Dallas snapped the ball. Switzer then elected to try again with the same play, but was stopped for a 1-yard loss. Philly took over and soon kicked a field goal to get the victory. While the Cowboys in general and Switzer in particular were eviscerated by fans and the media, the team became strong and angry after this game. Sanders publicly supported Switzer and the decision to try the fourth down conversion and eventually used those emotions and the losing streak. The next week, Dallas appeared headed for a third straight defeat at home to the lowly Giants, who were only 5-9 entering the contests, but thanks to a clutch late reception by Kevin Williams and a last-second field goal by Chris Boniel, the Cowboys prevailed. Rejuvenated, the team defeated the Cardinals and combined with a 49ers loss the day before, secured home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Of course, the visuals from the game, like I said, were used in the movie Jerry Maguire in the fictional Cardinals victory. Now the Cowboys then defeated the Eagles in the NFC divisional playoff game, followed by a memorable NFC title match against the Packers at Texas Stadium. The Packers were ahead, but Dallas came back in the fourth quarter. The team then went on to face the Pittsburgh Steelers in a rematch from the 1976 Super Bowl at Sun Devil Stadium, Arizona, in an attempt to tie the NFL record for a fifth league crown. Dallas dominated most of the first half, but as the Steelers gained momentum and threatened an upset over heavily favored Cowboys, starting quarterback Larry Brown, after a tragic loss of his son Christopher during the season, made his second interception of the game against Neil O'Donnell to seal the Cowboys' victory. He was named as Super Bowl MVP after the contest. What was kind of weird about this game, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Brown just happened to be in the right place. He wasn't doing anything totally special. Now, what freaked a lot of people out, ladies and gentlemen, they weren't scoring as many points as previous season. Like in the losses, they had scored less than 23 points in all four contests. So, but again, the NFC East was a weak division that year. Dallas finished first at 12-4, followed by the Eagles. The Redskins at 6-10. The Eagles were at 10-6. Giants at 5-11, and Cardinals at 4-12. Now, divisional playoff, 30-11 over the Eagles at Texas Stadium, 38-27 against the Packers at Texas Stadium, and of course 27-17 against Pittsburgh at Sun Devil. Now, the game against the Eagles, Dallas led early 3-0, 73.5, but the Eagles got a late touchdown to make it close at 30-11. Against the Packers, they were leading 27-24 entering the fourth quarter, but 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter ended it for there. Now, scoring summary in the Super Bowl, Emmitt Smith had the big touchdown, of course, to make it 27-17. He also scored to make it 20-7. So their short kickoff kick by Pittsburgh really did it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just to remind everybody with the roster, key players included Aikman, Jason Garrett, Wade Wilson, Darrell Johnson, Emmitt Smith, and Sherman Williams. Wide receivers, Corey Fleming, Michael Irvin, Kevin Williams, and of course Deion Sanders. Tight ends, Eric Bjornsson, Novacek, and Kendall Watkins. Big offensive linemen, including Larry Allen, Nate Newton, and Eric Williams. Defensive linemen, Charles Haley, Chad Headings, Russell Marion, and Tony Tolbert. Linebackers, the big Dixon Edwards, Robert Jones. Defensive backs, of course, the great Bill Bates, Larry Brown, and Deion, and Darren Woodson. Special teams, Chris Bonial and John Jett as the punter. And, of course, Ray Donaldson was injured. He didn't play the season. Neither did Kevin Smith. Now, multiple on the All-Pro this year. Troy Aikman, Emmett Smith, Michael Irvin, Mark Tooley, Larry Allen, Ray Donaldson, which means 6 of the 11 on the front offensive line, 7 of the 11 on the front offensive side made the Pro Bowl, including actually 8 of 11 with Nate Newton, and of course defensively Charles Haley and Darren Woodson. So there was no indication that this was going to end their dynasty because Emmett, Michael, and Troy were still pretty well, not say young, but experienced enough to come back. But you know, the Barry Switzer years were the best for Dallas. If Jimmy Johnson would have stayed, it would have been 5 straight Super Bowls. But the salary cap worked against him as well because Jerry gave a whole bunch of big salaries, and some of those players didn't stay. So, but for the season, for what they did, again, they should have finished like 14-2, 13-3. But like I said, Barry Switzer, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Read the different books on Barry Switzer's coaching that year. It's pretty weird. But the big thing for me was, again, the fourth quarter comebacks in the playoffs. That's what a big team has to do. That's what the Patriots had to do. This is not the best Dallas. This is the weaker of the 3 Super Bowl champions. I still think the first one over Buffalo was the best for obvious reasons. He almost scored 59 points. But like I said, this is a Jimmy Johnson team coached by Barry Switzer. But after this, it was Barry Switzer team, and that's why I think they never won a Super Bowl ever again. The curse of Barry Switzer. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here, we're a Dallas Cowboy podcast. Let us know what a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.